to the City of Miami Commission meeting for March 9th, 2023. I am so honored to welcome our District 2 Commissioner, Sabina Covo. Everybody give her a hand. It is so appropriate that today is her first commission meeting because this is International Women's Month, and it is the first time ever that the City of Miami has had two women on the dais at the same time. So we are walking into a new era, and I am so proud to be a part of this magical city. Welcome to my colleagues, my Vice Chair, Mr. Carollo, and Commissioner Manolo Reyes. Today, we are going to start our meeting with a prayer, as we always do. We are blessed to have today with us Minister Anderson from St. Paul AME Church. Would you please come up?
Good morning, everyone. You guys look amazing, so I'm going to say that again. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that sounds great to my ears. Thank you for having me, Commissioner King, especially on Women's Month. So I thank you very much. Let's go to prayer this morning as we bow our heads and close our eyes. To our wise, loving, and holy one, thank you for another day, for this abundant blessings on each of our life. Thank you for health and strength and another day just to get it right. Another day to service our community and to work together as a team. Bless our mayor, our chair, vice chair, and the entire city commission. Continue to give them wisdom in decision making. Give them patience to hear and to listen to people they serve, and to continue to walk in justice for all human beings. Thank you for a community of leadership. Together with your guidance, our city can become better and stronger. Give us humility to learn how to agree, and learn how to agree and disagree at the same time, as long as we put the people that we serve at the forefront of our mission. We thank you. Bless this agenda that is put before us today. Let everyone and everything be done in decency, order, and unity. In God we trust. And everyone say amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much. And now, Commissioner Covo, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? You don't know it? Okay. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's no reason to be nervous. Just be you got this. And, just take a breath, and we're going to get through it. She gave an awesome prayer.
So I felt that if I went to pray right now and leave the flag of allegiance, I'm still shaking, so I'm getting better.
It's okay. It's okay. Sure. Pleasure to meet you. Yvette, anything you need, you can go to her. Gentlemen.
Listen, welcome to the two ladies. I promise I'm going to behave.
We always do. At this time, do we have any protocol items? No protocol items today? Okay. All right, so we are going to go right into it. Mr. Manager, do you have any items?
Chair, normally there's a statement that's read into the record by the city attorney and then by the clerk.
That's right. Seems like it's been so long since I've been here. Madam City Attorney, would you please read your statement into the record?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Detailed information about the processes, order of business, rules of procedure, and scheduling or rescheduling of City Commission meetings can be found in Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Code, a copy of which is available online at www.municode.com. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with the related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. Any person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the appropriate disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of the City Code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to City Code Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33F and G of the City Code, the agenda and material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the chair. Public comment will begin at approximately 9:45 and remain open until public comment is closed by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to elected officials and their staff and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials may consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to elected officials up until the chair closes the public comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall located at 3500 Pan American Drive, subject to any and all city rules as they may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for the meeting may notify the City Clerk. The City has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public support, opposition, or neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.0114 Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of the item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance as temporarily modified pursuant to emergency ordinance numbers 13903 and 13914. Parties for any PZ items, including any appellant, appellee, and applicant, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as qualified intervener, as well as the applicant's representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall or be sworn by oath or affirmation by the City Clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person in their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to the action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications pursuant to Section 286.0115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and the City Code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application or request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices at this time. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, miamigov.com, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Mr. City Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items in today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. Members, city staff, or any other individuals required to be sworn in currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk. Immediately after I finish explaining these procedures, those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to Minnesota Ordinance Number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn at their location by an individual qualified and administer the oath. After you're sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual will provide testimony who is to be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the City Clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant items for which you'll be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these informed rules and procedures we have established at this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. May I administer the oath for the Planning and Zoning Board,
Please.
Planning and Zoning items. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If we will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's meeting is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, do you have any items that you need to withdraw or defer?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and or withdraw the following items. PA1 to be deferred to April 13th. PA2 to be deferred to April 13th. RE2 to be deferred to March 23rd. RE4 to be deferred to April 13th. RE6 to be deferred to May 11th. RE7 to be withdrawn. DI2 to be withdrawn. PZ1 to be deferred to April 13th. PZ2 to be deferred to April 13th. PZ3 to be deferred to April 13th. And PZ16 to be deferred to April 13th. That concludes the items.
Mr. Manager, can you go through that one more time?
Certainly. PA1 to be deferred to April 13th.
PA1?
PA1, the two personal appearances are going to be deferred.
Okay,
to
that's
April.
what threw me off.
Yeah.
PA1, okay. Okay.
PA1 and 2 both deferred to April 13th.
Okay.
RE2 to be deferred to March 23rd. RE4 to be deferred to April 13th. RE6 to be deferred to May 11th. RE7 to be withdrawn. DI2 to be withdrawn. Then on the PZ agenda, PZ1, 2, and 3 are all to be deferred to the April 13th meeting,
Okay.
all companion items. And then PZ16 to also be deferred to the April 13th meeting.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Vice Chair, do you have any items that you would like to? I do not at this time. Okay. Good morning. How are you today? Good. Are there any items that you would like to defer? Commissioner Covo, any items?
No, not at this time.
Commissioner Reyes? No items. Okay. Are there any
Chair.
pocket items.
Is there a motion?
May I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll move it.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Motion carries. The agenda has been set. Are there any pocket items? I believe the city attorney's office has a pocket item.
Yes, there's a couple pocket items. The city attorney's office is bringing a mitigation one because they have a closing and they could come up shortly. Then there is a.
That's pocket item one?
Yes, I'm sorry. Pocket item 1.
Okay.
Then there's pocket item 2, which is an ordinance having to do with temporary banners. And I can read this is from District 1, and I can read the title now, since it's an ordinance, Madam Chair.
Okay, please.
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission authorizing deviations from the standards for temporary banners set forth in Chapter 62, Article 8, Division 8 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Planning and Zoning Approval for Temporary Uses and Occupancies, Permit Required Temporary Banners for such permits issued within a portion of the Central Business District for display in connection with the Miami Formula One Grand Prix between April 15, 2023 and May 15, 2023, establishing terms and conditions in order to regulate the activities for temporary banners, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an immediate effective date. And then there's one more pocket from District 5, which is a resolution waiving the 2 temporary event limitations for private property at the address at 2516 Northwest 2nd Avenue. I believe those are the 3 pockets. So this would be pocket 3, and the ordinance would be PI 2. And then the OCA pocket would be pocket 1. I think that's it with the pockets.
Great. May I
Chair?
have, yes?
Before we proceed into the regular meeting, may I make a statement?
Please.
Thank you. Commissioner Cobo, I want to say this publicly, even though I think I've said it to you privately. I wish you, and I mean this sincerely, every bit of good luck going forward. I want you to succeed, because if you succeed, the whole city of Miami, the whole commission succeeds. We're one city, so every success that any one of us has here affects the whole city and makes our city a better city. So for me, I will do everything that I can to help you succeed, because by doing that, I'm helping my city, my district, your district, and all the other districts. Good luck to you and welcome to the City Commission.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
I want to join, and I think all of us should unanimously welcome Commissioner Cobo. Welcome, and congratulate you for the fantastic campaign. Very hard work always pays, and this is coming from a guy that tried 7 times. I really congratulate you and welcome, and I'm looking forward working with you. And as I said before, my office is open if you need to work from there, meanwhile, or if you need anything, you know that I'm here to serve. We are all one commission.
You know, there's also something that I'm not going to talk about here today. I'll leave everyone in suspense. But that you and I and Commissioner King belong to a very, very, very private club, if I may say. So that is also something that brings us closer together.
Private club.
I won't say what it is.
Oh, wow. Private club.
Commissioner?
we have a birthday in March, all of us.
Pisces season,
We're-
everyone.
So we're
Well, she let the
actually-
cat out of the bag. We're all Pisces.
I'm the 11th,
12?
15th.
15th.
Yeah.
That's the club he's talking about, just to clarify.
A very special club.
But thank
Pescadito,
you.
¿no?
Thanks so much.
Mr. City Clerk, do we need a motion to accept the 3 pocket items?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so at this time, we are going to go into our public comment section of the meeting. Anyone who wishes to speak on any item that is on our agenda, please step forward.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Muhammad.
Brady Muhammad, Chairman, Florida's Ex-Offender Reentry and Transition Program, 5660 Northwest 7th Avenue, Suite A. To all the women's, happy Women's History Month. Commissioner Cobo, just please do what you already are, which is a public servant, not a politician. Some politicians serve themselves and not the public. Public servants serve the people and not themselves. And if you do that, District 2 will give you a full 4-year term, and you deserve it. Item 1, PH1, and item PH6, the transfer of property MLK EDC, we're in favor of that because we need to continue to provide affordable housing in the city, especially District 5, but the whole city of Miami, because, of course, Miami is one of the most highest, least affordable cities in the country. And PH6 is the Circle of Brotherhood. They need those funds because not only do they need the funds to be able to literally assist with ex-felons, they assist with families, they assist with fathers and men, to be able to be fathers to their children, to be in their lives of their fathers, because it's a circle of brotherhood. It's a circle of men that's solving their own problems. And if we as men that causes the problem in our community stop the problems in our community, we can make our communities, the black community in particular, a decent, safe, sanitary place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Rebecca Jauregui. I was born and raised in the U.S. I'm 24 years old, and I would like to represent young people who love the way that this nation was formed. Young millions of Americans that love this nation, one nation under God. From a young age, we learned how this nation was founded on July 30th, 1956, 2 years after pushing to have the phrase "under God" inserted into the Pledge of Allegiance. President Eisenhower signed a law officially declaring "In God We Trust" to be the nation's official motto. "In God We Trust" is the official motto of the U.S. and Florida. The Pledge of Allegiance has been a part of my every day and every season, every summer camp, literally every single day of my life. I went from one day learning the pledge to the next teaching it to different schools and different children in different neighborhoods. My whole life I have worked and lived in Allapattah, and I am proud of Miami. I have been honored to sing the national anthem in graduations, ceremonies, and sporting events, and the least likely to be sung and last verse stands out to me the most. It says, "Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us as a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust." I am committed to preserving the values of the great American nation. I am surprised that we are meeting together to reestablish the values that were the very foundation of this country. But I am reminded what President Reagan said in his remarks at a prayer in Dallas, Texas. If we ever forget we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. It is not Democrat, it is not Republican. In God We Trust is an American thing. I would like to thank Commissioner Manolo Reyes for this proposal, and I would beg and ask the rest of the commissioners to vote as Americans in this decision to preserve our sentiment as a nation.
Thank
to
you.
illustrate, inspire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam
Good
Chair.
morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I apologize, you know me. I just want to breathe. Following the presentation of of Mr. Muhammad. It's a rough morning with me, so bear with me. I'd like to welcome you. The last time I saw you, I was trying to catch you because everything you said in that particular event I could relate to. But most of all, it spoke of the issues that I had put before them of affordable housing. Defining affordable meaning quality of life, meaning issues I just want to breathe. I want to touch on BC1, PH6, and that's what I got these for. PH6, PH8, and RE12. And I do support the moving and transition of the properties over to MLK EDC in a concentrated area of those of us who give up more than we can afford, the right to breathe clean air and water. I'm touching on the other item in regards to non-competitive procurement because you've seen me talk about it, but now I'm hitting it dead on the head because there seems to be no real response to the process of inspection or pre-inspection of Section 8 houses. This was not procured. A while back, Commissioner and Chairperson, you made a comment about it. You couldn't find any better. I hardly like to go any place that I haven't checked. I thank the City of Miami for sending many members of the community to a special training for Brownsville, where we learned about air, clean water. Although we did not get any work opportunities, I found that you're a midst of a great source for inspections. Meaning why? Because some of the properties that may have relocated about 80 persons out of your district, Madam Chair, we wound up being in a real dump with air issues, with quality, with HQIS issues, but they got surpassed. I'm pretty sure that without going into debt, that the city attorney knows about it. But what it is a crisis, the crisis that you hear about in those places in Miami Garden. Well, it's more like a ghetto. So I want to tell you, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying, and we can talk a little bit further on it because I don't want to be a 2-minute show and a 2-minute go-go. And when you, in closing, when you talk about things that are difficult, I live in an unsafe structure that's been seen by an inspector so many times. People from the city of Miami are now back at Chapman because there's a gap in services. Lastly, in God we trust, yes, it gives us good orderly direction, meaning moral conscience about this situation. I appeal to you because you helped me out. But now this is war, because if I can't breathe, nor will you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Mi nombre es Obed Jauregui y por 28 años he servido en el Distrito 1 de la ciudad de Miami. Me honra ser el pastor de la iglesia Betania y el presidente de Miami Bethany Community Services.
Chair, 1 second, we're going to get the interpreter.
Because it's going to be 2 minutes that I can't get what he wants to say. Excuse me. I know, I was going to ask him.
I'm going to take the next speaker so she could speak
Okay.
with you for a second. Sir, good morning, good morning.
Hi, John Dolson, 4205 Lennox Drive in Coconut Grove. I'm here to thank Commissioner Reyes and yourself for giving this community the opportunity to vote and to bring the commissioner forward that the community wanted. So congratulations, Sabina Kovo. And Mr. Noriega, personal thanks for you for ensuring that she's in the proper physical location in this building that has been held by District 2 for a long time. Thank you for restoring that.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gerby Noel, Legal Services, Greater Miami, office located at 4343 West Flagler, here on behalf of Grove Rights and Community Equity, better known as GRACE. GRACE is composed of 13 local organizations located right here in the West Grove. I'm here to speak particularly in regards to PZ items 4, 5, and 6. I've been here numerous times, so I'll just repeat my spiel over and over again. At the zenith of it, really, what it comes down to is GRACE is in support of bringing affordable housing to the West Grove. However, with regards to these items, there are particular properties within the resolution that aren't meaning to bring affordable housing to the community. And there are certain changes that are being proposed that don't lead to the creation of affordable housing within the West Grove. Now, we know the whole reason this was started out was to find ways of bringing about and being really creative with bringing about affordable housing to the West Grove and, PZ 4, 5, and 6, to the extent that it includes properties that will be commercial, falls short of that goal. So with that in mind, I'd just like to make it clear that Grace is in support of PZ 4, 5, and 6 to the extent that it brings affordable housing. However, to those properties that don't plan on bringing affordable housing and essentially will be bringing commercial lots to the Grove, they don't support that and object to their inclusion in this. So thank you for your time and welcome, Commissioner Covo.
Sir, over here. Could you give us the lots, just the ones that you're objecting to? Like, write it down for us, just to, thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Debbie Dolson, 4205 Lennox Drive, Coconut Grove. I'd like first to speak on RE1 and welcome our new District 2 Commissioner, Sabina Covo. During the campaign, much was said and written about the disrespect on the dais and to the public, and I'm very happy that and hopeful that respect and dignity will be restored at City Hall. I'd also like to comment on PZ 11, 12, 13, and 14, and I'm asking you to please follow the recommendations of the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board from March 1st, from the meeting for March 1st, that you approve only residential future land use and zoning for these assemblages without the encroachment of commercial or business properties. So, in short, no T4R, no commercial, but yes, T4R residential, and for PZ 11 and 12, T4L. Those are the recommendations that were discussed at the PZAB, and I urge you to follow those recommendations. Also, PZ 4 and 5, TR4 as well, with no commercial component. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Robert Kielsen, and I'm a student intern with the Environmental Justice Clinic of the University of Miami School of Law. My address is 114 Northwest 25th Street, Miami, Florida. I'm here today in opposition to PZ4, as it does not offer sufficient affordable housing for the West Grove community. Over the last decade, Greater Miami has experienced exponential population growth and real estate development. I don't think it's a shock to anyone here to state that these trends have contributed to gentrification of historically marginalized Black and brown communities and the displacement of Black and brown people throughout South Florida. I'm here today because the city has not taken significant steps to address how these trends have affected and will continue to affect the West Grove and the West Grove community. The West Grove is a vital piece of Miami's Black history and the history of this city. However, decades-long disinvestment and disenfranchisement have resulted in the reduction of the West Grove's housing stock, the degradation of the community's character, and the displacement of countless members of the community. It does not have to be this way. The city of Miami should see the West Grove as a chance to celebrate and preserve an important Black community. Additionally, the city of Miami should see the West Grove as an opportunity to create the affordable housing that this city desperately needs, not as an opportunity to develop more luxury buildings and more luxury single-family homes. Here are some facts. According to recent studies, local rents in Miami in 2022 increased 30% year over year. Miami now has one of the most expensive housing markets in the country, with over 85% of median income of the average city resident going towards home ownership costs, making it the second most rent-burdened county in the entire United States. Given this current crisis, the city of Miami should see the West Grove as an opportunity to directly address Miami's affordable housing needs, and as a chance to build affordable housing for the current residents of this community who need it and deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing? Good morning, council peoples. My name is Sister Crave. I am here to request funding for my new church, Church of Crave. When I first moved to country, I was told separation of church and state was American belief. I think to myself, what a mistake. Church and state should come together to help community. As time passed, I learned more about country, and I noticed so many churches, so I do research. I find out states do support church and give funding. Church of Scientology has its many vacant properties all over this beautiful country, even right here in Miami. Joel Osteen and his congregation have massive concrete building that cannot be flooded, funded by state. So why not Church of Grave? I can tell you, funding my church would be cheaper than the marble slabs that hold together the Mormon church. Mormons get state-funded chastity diapers, Church of Grave gets state-funded latex habit. I believe, as a God-fearing man himself, Ron DeSantis would not only support the funding of my church, but would find himself on his knees in prayer in front of our late-discovered goddess, Mistress Grave. I hope to see you all at my new funded church and convert to latex. Mass is held every Friday and Saturday at 11:11 p.m. This, in my religion, is called Black Mass. I hope to see you all, and blessed and have a day, and congratulations as a woman to woman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, if I may respectfully request that we stick to the items on the agenda. It's the commission rule that everyone that wants to speak has to arrive for 2 minutes, but on agenda items. I'm starting to see that we're having people come up to speak on all kinds of stuff, and this will make our meetings endless. If anyone wants to address this commission on issues that are not in the commission, the proper procedure is to request it through the city manager's office, and they can be put in the following agenda so that they can address us on issues not on the agenda. However, we need to keep our meetings focused on what is in the agenda. So I respectfully request that if there are people that are going to come to speak on items like the last speaker that we had that are not in the agenda, if we could respectfully ask them to go to the manager and sign up to come to another meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning, Abigail Fleming, 114 Northwest 25th Street. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Abigail Fleming. I'm a staff attorney with the Peer Group. I'm also the acting director of the Environmental Justice Clinic at the University of Miami School of Law, and I'm here to speak in opposition to PZ4, file ID 1258. The Peer Group advocates for economic and environmental sustainability in Miami through a community lawyering approach that shifts power back to marginalized communities like that of the West Grove. So I'm here today in support of Grace, and again, speaking in opposition to PZ4, more specifically to object to the inclusion of Assemblage A. Commissioners, you know that Miami, like many cities around the country, is in a severe housing crisis, and the West Grove, where these impacts will be most felt, is in dire need of affordable housing. PZ4, proposed rezoning of Assemblage A, will result in unnecessary loss of housing opportunities in the West Grove. Currently, 5 of the 7 lots in Assemblage A are zoned residential. The file ID 12858 proposes that these 5 residential properties be rezoned to commercial. A commercial lot would directly conflict with the low-density residential nature of the neighborhood and remove potential housing opportunities. The peer group partnered with the Environmental Justice Clinic to run an analysis of the proposed development using a displacement, vulnerability, and mitigation tool. The tool aims to forecast the risk of displacement that a proposed development will cause and equip real estate developers, municipalities, and local communities with research-informed strategies to mitigate potential displacement. We found that the surrounding community surrounding this development is susceptible to displacement, and I provided a written comment this morning with a comprehensive analysis of the data and potential mitigation strategies that can be used to ensure that West Grove residents stay in the West Grove. It is vital that long-term residents that these lots remain residential.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Teresita Miglio. My address is 310 Southwest 67th Court, Miami. And first of all, I want to thank Commissioner Manolo Reyes for proposing RE9. And the first speaker stole my thunder. She spoke everything I was going to say. And I just want to say that In God We Trust is something that's been embedded in our history from inception. The people that came over came for religious freedom. And I'm actually surprised that there is no plaque here in the city of Miami. So I do commend and I ask each one of you to vote for that. And as we do that, we're going to receive blessings. And I really do thank Manolo Reyes because he has been doing so much for the community, around the area where I live. I see a lot of movement, and I just wanted to thank him and all of you for voting yes on RE9. God bless.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, and it's a privilege to be here, and I apologize in advance if I'm not supposed to be here. It's concerning pocket item 3. My name is Sandy Safi. I came in from Montreal. We are just requesting some support, and I'd just like to provide a little bit of context, if I may, on pocket item 3. Is that okay? So essentially, we were granted a contract that the venue at 2516 shouldn't have given us because it's supposed to come with a temporary event permit, and that venue had a limitation, but we proceeded with the contract that we had to engage expenses. So we'd like your support for an exceptional TEP for 2516.
I'm sorry, what is pocket item 3?
Pocket item 3 is 2516 Northwest 2nd Avenue.
The temporary event permit to have one more, another event in addition to the 2 maximum per year.
Okay, so that's different than the one we had, that you were sponsoring, Chairwoman, right?
No, it's the same one.
It's the same one? Okay, so, yeah, because I have that one as a pocket item 5. That's why it threw me off.
Sorry, it was just called out as pocket item 3. I might be
Okay,
confused.
I'm sorry. I had it here differently.
Okay.
Sorry. Please return her time to her that I took.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other context required?
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Chair, if I could just have the speaker's name for the record. Ma'am?
Ma'am, your name for the record?
Sandy Safi.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be in front of all of you today. My name is Jenya Penrod, and today I'm going to be speaking about something that's very dear to my heart and to many of people in this room today. I'm going to be speaking about trust in God. We live in a world full of uncertainty and chaos. Every day we are bombarded with news of wars, natural disasters, pandemic, and other crises that make us question whether there is any hope for our future. It is easy to feel overwhelmed and hopeless in face of so much turmoil. But I want to remind you all that there's still reason to have faith. No matter what happens in the world, we still can trust God to protect us and guide us. We can trust that there is higher purpose to everything that we experience, even if we don't understand it. In fact, the trust in God have more meaning right now than ever before. It's only by putting our faith into something greater than ourselves that we can find strength and courage to face the challenges of life. When we trust in God, we know that we are not alone. We have infinite source of wisdom and love that is always with us, no matter what. I want to thank Commissioner Manolo Reyes' proposition for the state motto of In God We Trust, because I believe with my whole heart that with God's help, we can create a brighter future for us, our children, and this great country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Apostle Pamela Walker Smith. I'm a native of Miami. I'm a citizen. I live in Overtown, Pine Park Village, number 1. And I'm here to represent In God We Trust. I'm here today to urge you to adopt Commissioner Manolo Reyes' resolution to install a plaque behind the dais with the national motto, In God We Trust. When I heard about this, I was excited because we need God in everything that we do. to represent the things that are going on in this world today. It's so much disaster. So there have to be faith in something that we believe in. It said that this model reflects our country's Christian heritage, which has been an essential part of our national identity and our values. It has served as a powerful reminder of our shared belief in a higher power that guides and protects us. The installation of this plaque is not only historically significant, but it also serves as an important religious statement. The faith in God we trust expresses a belief in a divine power that transcends our human limitation and serves as a source of comfort and strength in time of crisis. In conclusion, the installation of a plaque with the national motto, "In God We Trust," behind the dais would be a powerful affirmation of our nation's history and religious heritage. It would also serve as a source of inspiration and comfort for our community in difficult times. I urge you to adopt this resolution and demonstrate our shared commitment to freedom, faith, and patriotism. And thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. God bless you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Catalina Stube. In God We Trust is the most beautiful statement God should never have been taken out of our lives. Our downfall began with the denial of that statement. In God We Trust should be displayed everywhere, in every school, in every public building, in every house. Those that don't like it, don't look at it. Our country was founded based on the scriptures. Yes, our founding fathers not only learned how to read with the Bible, but they fought tyranny based on the principles stated by God. In the past, the majority of lawsuits challenging the motto, "In God We Trust," have not successfully proved to be unconstitutional. The use of our national motto is considered by the courts as ceremonial and patriotic, rather than religious in nature. How it is an issue to display the state motto in a public building? It is not the right thing to do. I think we reached the point in our country where a lot of Christian and people from other religious conviction are looking around and saying, what happened? Because we're in a situation where it's open hostility and the threat is coming directly from our government. I support Commissioner Manolo Reyes' resolution because in this world taken by radical satanic people, we can only trust God. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. To everyone in their prospective places, my name is Pastor Robert Smith, a native of Miami, Liberty City, Florida. I'm residing in Overtown, Florida. The history of the motto, "Yes, in God We Trust," was placed on a 2-cent coin in 1864. And we all know, if not some of us, that President Eisenhower signed the motto into law to be part of our pledge, and his secretary suggests that it goes on paper money. I want to say we are Americans in this country. It started rough, but with these laws and regulations, it helped put this country in perspective and brought many values and great things to this country that was once chaotic. I'm going to say thank God for God. In God we trust. Each person here was born, and each person here must leave this world one day. But God would never leave or forsake us. And as a reminder, in God we trust, we should remember the dignity and the values that this country have and make sure that we use in God we trust. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Can you hear me all right? Thank you. Good morning. My name is Teresa Nagamahali Rust. I mentioned my maiden name. It is a Hungarian name. My mother and my father escaped, and we are blessed to have been able to come to this beautiful, God-given country. We lived here, we love it. My mother would never pass up a flag, saluting it. I don't care where she was, and we thank God every day for the blessedness that we have to live in this beautiful country. You started it with the priority today, with the beginning of this meeting, by praying and placing our hearts, our thoughts, and our wisdom in God's divine hands. We are we're fallible creatures. We make mistakes. We need to turn to a higher power to look for wisdom and guidance in our deliberations, which will affect many of our lives and our very situations. These are not going to be my words, because words have been so beautifully spoken here. We seek the truth. I happen to pick up my daily reading today from Scripture, and it's from Jeremiah, if I may quote directly from Jeremiah 17, verses 5 to 10. Thus says the Lord, cursed is the man who trusts in human beings, who seeks his strength in flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord. May we always remember our Creator and His divine loving plan for our lives and our country, so blessed by God. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Reisman, and I'm here to speak on PZ 11 and 12. These relate to the property that is belonging to Casa Valentina. Casa Valentina is looking to do what it does best, which is to provide safe, affordable housing and life skills for youth aging out of foster care or who are at risk in our community, the group from 18 to 24. Nowhere in the state is making this a specific group to address whose needs are growing greater every day. We hope that you will support this with T4O so we can continue to move toward our goal of housing more youth aging out of foster care. I thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Benjamin De Jure. I am the president of Teaching Anti-Communism in America, TACA. That is an organization, that's on ONG. I think really what is happening now, I think the prayer has been banned from the school. And maybe we think this is one of the main reasons the indoctrination has advanced too much into the schools. So what happened? If you see the last polls, you can realize how the millennials and the Generation Z, they believe in socialism and communism. So we have to support the presence of God in our school. So in this matter, we thanks to Commissioner Manolo Reyes and also to Anthony Verdugo to support this idea to have the plaquing everywhere. So in God we trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Buenos días.
Mi nombre es Obed Jauregui.
I'll continue with the translation. Okay. Good morning. His name is Obed Jauregui. I am going to translate what he would like to relay. I have been a community leader for the past 20 years in District 1. It is an honor for me to serve my duties as a pastor at Bethany Church, and I am also the president of Miami Bethany Community Services. During these 28 years, my family and I have helped many people in the community by providing them with food, clothing, housing, counseling, education, jobs, and rehab services. We must all agree that without God's presence, mankind is lonely and alone, empty, vulnerable, and hopeless. On behalf of 1,500 church members and 8,000 families, I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Manolo Reyes for his support in God We Trust. I highly suggest that the City of Miami proudly exhibit the motto of the United States of America and the state of Florida, In God We Trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Harrington. I am a Miami citizen, also CEO of a resort in the Bahamas. I'm here in support of the proposal RE9, In God We Trust, as we've heard from many other speakers who have spoken very eloquently. When I first heard this was even up as a proposal, I was a little surprised. I mean, it is one of our national mottos. First, I want to thank Commissioner Reyes for proposing this. But I was surprised because it is our national motto. It is on our money, on our coins. So I was a little surprised that it wasn't already the case. And I would say if we look at the alternative, if we as a people don't trust in God, what is it that we're going to place our trust in? When we inevitably have the next hurricane that devastates the city, or another economic collapse, or a worldwide pandemic, are we going to rely on ourselves? What are we going to do? Say we got this? We're just going to trust in our own ingenuity or our own strength? I don't think that's very wise. In regard to our country, I'd ask a question. What is it about the United States that has made it undeniably the most successful and powerful country over the past 100 years? I would say that is it that we're smarter than other people, or that we have better genetics? I don't think so. Clearly, that's not the answer. I would argue that it is based on our founding fathers who founded our government on a system based on checks and balances. And where did they get that system from? It was based on two biblical principles. One is that every individual has infinite value because we are made by a God who has infinite value. The other, and therefore every person has individual rights.
Thank you.
I will leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Christine and everybody here. Good morning, everybody here. My name is Angel Montalvo, Angel Montalvo. I live in 2911 Southwest 21st Terrace. I'm a lifelong Miami resident. And I just wanted to take a moment to talk about the issue with regards to In God We Trust. Just so you know a little bit about me, I was actually the vice president and president of the youth group at El Cordero Baptist Church on 22nd. And it was a big part of the way that I look at the way that the world is with regards to the figure of Jesus Christ. I imagine that's who we're referring to when we're talking about In God We Trust. So I just wanted to make the case. Talking about the founding fathers, there is a concept of the separation of church and state. And while I understand that there's legal precedent that this isn't something that is forbidden from being done, I just wanted to consider alternatively, before In God We Trust, our motto nationally was E Pluribus Unum, which is out of many, one. In Miami, there are not just Christians, there are many people of different faiths and spirituality. I'm personally agnostic, but besides the point, I just want everybody to consider the importance in keeping the church and state separate, because I'm sure most of you wouldn't want to be under a government that is represented by a religion that doesn't represent you. So in that situation, that being said, I thank you everybody for your time. Again, we have our, this idea of E Pluribus Unum, I think is more inclusive. So thank you, and it's my time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Eileen Campbell. I'm with the Christian Family Coalition, and I am here for the In God We Trust plaque to be part of the city of Miami. I live at 340 West Flagler Street. I am in downtown, and I am a mother of three. And I know how important it is to have the Lord by our side, especially in a city where so many people are fleeing from other states, coming here because they're looking for better lives. They're looking for hope. And what best to be able to represent our city by the Lord. In God We Trust is not a religious deal. It is our founding fathers had the In God We Trust motto, and we should keep it. And I want to say one thing. there's so much violence going on in in this beautiful city. We need the Lord in our lives. We need to let our constituents know that we trust in the Lord. And I would just like to read, if you allow me, Psalm 91, 2. It says, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Christy Tasker. First of all, prayer was taken out of school by an atheist named Madeline Murray O'Hare. I'm going to speak the words of her son. My mother was an evil person, not removing prayer from America's schools. No, she was just evil, Bill wrote in 2011. She stole huge amounts of money, misused the trust of people. She cheated children out of their parents' inheritance. She cheated on her taxes and even stole from her own organizations. Madeline's son, Bill Murray, later became a pastor. He knew the real Madeline, the churl of that bullied her own children, bragged to them that when they were very young, and made them watch X-rated movies. She was an ordinate feminist who resented men, Bill says. One of her favorite stories I've heard was her repeat, and many times, is that when I was born and the doctor told her that he was a boy, she asked if there was any way that she could put him back in. Bill told People magazine this. She bit him, she smashed his model airplane into pieces, and in a fit of rage, ridiculed his attempts to play baseball. She kept a liquor closet full and refrigerator stocked with fattening, unhealthy foods. She extolled the virtues of sexual liberty and wrote for Hustler magazine. So that woman had the ability to take prayer out of schools and out of our government, and you all have the authority to put it back in. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, fellow members of the commission. Welcome, Commissioner Corvo. My name is Ariel Sagre. I am a Florida attorney, been licensed since 2002. I am an attorney with the Florida Christian Family Coalition. My address is 5201 Blue Lagoon Drive, Suite 892, Miami, Florida, 33126. I rise in support of RA 9 by Commissioner Manolo Reyes to install a plaque that simply says, "In God We Trust," does nothing more than to memorialize what's in the federal law, as well as state law, section 15.0301. I see civility in this nation. I see civility in this room on days like today. Sometimes we see in the media that it's not so civil. But today, I count 12 speakers in favor of this resolution, only one against. I commend my brother who had the courage to speak against it. But that goes to our nation, that we are a nation that tolerates freedom of exercise, of expression. You stand on good legal soil, federal and state law, by allowing "In God We Trust" as a motto. Legally, it's strong. Pragmatically, it gives a source of strength to those that are trying to raise their children in this nation, to say we left a communist country to come to a free nation where you can believe in God. It stands on pragmatic ground, as well as on text and tradition. I think it's clear, more than the overwhelming group that's here, the constituents that put you in office believe in God, I would venture to say, and simply saying "In God We Trust" does nothing more than to say, yeah, you know what, this nation is here, and the overriding reason why we tolerate each other and we respect each other is because every person has value, and that value is intrinsically given by God. That's what our Declaration of Independence says. All men are created equal. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Becerra, and I'm the president of the Poinciana Village Condominium Association in historic Overtown, located at 201 and 269 Northwest 7th Street. I'm speaking in support of item 4.7C, the resolution to provide financial aid to our association to further promote home ownership in the Overtown neighborhood. we've also undergone a lot of modernization projects and have, come across a situation where over half, or almost half of our residents are elderly and on, very fixed incomes, and I'm concerned for their ability to weather, new legislation requiring higher reserve limits, and just I'm hoping you guys can help pass the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can he?
He's with the Overtown. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Welcome and congratulations to Commissioner Covo. My name is Billy Corbin. I'm P.O. Box 403004, Miami Beach 33140. I'm here to speak on item BC9, the 3 vacancies on the Code Enforcement Board. Never before have these appointments been more important. As you know, a lawsuit was recently filed against the city attorney and her husband for allegedly using their inside connections to the Code Enforcement Board as part of a scheme to acquire the homes of vulnerable senior citizens at below market value. Moreover, the lawsuit and subsequent news reports seem to suggest the city attorney's husband may have lied under oath to the board, which would appear to create a conflict.
You are here in support of BC9,
Yes, ma'am.
but that doesn't specifically relate to a lawsuit or the allegations that you are talking about for the lawsuit. Can you just
Well-
stick with BC9, the importance of filling the positions, the vacancies?
Yes, of course, but
Okay, but not lawsuits and not,
it's about the Code Enforcement Board, Madam Chair.
okay, but
Because in light of
not
the,
specific to the law, because you're saying allegations and you're saying that they stole homes from the.
I didn't say
Not
that. I'm saying in light of these egregious allegations and potential conflicts of interest, I urge the commission to fill the vacancies
Okay.
On the Code Enforcement Board, but with the following caveats, though.
Right, no, it's
That-
just about the appointments, Mr. Corbin, just about the appointments.
Right, but the appointees, I would ask, would support the board obtaining independent legal counsel to address any potential conflicts of interest, and if necessary, refer the matter to the appropriate law enforcement agencies to seek guidance, too, from the Florida Attorney General on any implications that any alleged misconduct and may have regarding possible disparate treatment suffered by other property owners who've had code enforcement matters adjudicated by the board, and finally, that they support asking the Florida Bar whether or not the city attorney and her subordinates can continue to participate in code enforcement proceedings or even advise this commission on code enforcement related matters while the lawsuit and any potential investigations remain pending. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
No clapping. I allowed the clapping for the In God We Trust, but
Madam-
not going to clap.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I normally let statements that are made go. And like most of us, don't answer unless the topic comes up. This individual tried to use an item that's just an appointment to a board to come in and attack and to put his agenda. Now, let me be very clear. Mr. Corbin, that gave a P.O. Box, lives in unincorporated Dade County. Mr. Corbin is not just any citizen of unincorporated Dade County that wants to get involved because they care so much about our city. Mr. Corbin is a pay-for-play individual that has been getting paid for some time to attack this city and so many of us with lies and defamation. He recently came out blasting, calling all kinds of names, putting all kinds of stuff out against newly elected Commissioner Covo. He didn't do that because he believed that. He did it because he was paid by one of the opponents to do that. Just like when Luke Campbell, and I think most of you know who Luke Campbell is. Came to me, went to the mayor, and expressed to us how this little Billy Corbin had brought a bar owner from A Street. The other bar owner was put in the phone, and they were offering Luke Campbell $5,000 when he used to write in the Miami New Times and had a column there, so that he would call me a racist and defame me. And if he would do that, they were going to give him $5,000 to the Little League Optimist Club football team that Luke coached. Since he did not do that, he never got the $5,000. This man has been paid by those bar owners to defame me and to start a campaign now on trying to discredit and defame anyone and everyone connected to this city, nonstop. Why? Because they have 2 cases in federal court against the city.
Okay.
And those cases, at least one of them, seem to be going to court real soon. So they're trying to come with constant attacks with their allies in the media and others that are paid like him to try to defame all of us in the city so they can try and prejudice any potential juror to those court hearings that might be chosen before they're even set in a court. And this is why they're doing this nonstop. You're seeing one attack after another. As far as the statements he made against the one case that the city has been sued upon, on the statements that he made, why hasn't the city of Miami been served? Mr. Manager, do you know if the city of Miami has been served? No.
As of yesterday, no.
Well, isn't that strange? They sued us some 10 days ago, and we're not served, so we cannot answer that. Have you been told by Mr. Corbin and the group that's come out to attack this city that this poor senior citizen, like they were making him to be, was 63 years old when this transaction happened? Were you told that he had been, in the year 2017, a realtor for 28 years? A realtor goes to school and has more knowledge than any of us that are not realtors on the cost of properties.
Commissioner, let's go forward with the public.
Chair, I need to defend the city. Just one more second.
Okay, one more second.
Were you told that this individual supposedly claims that in 2008, on the deed of that property, his name was put into it by the mother, but gee, he apparently forgot to place that deed in the court records until 5.5 months after the mother died in 2017, the month before he sold that property. You know why he did that? Because, as people in the media have told me, but they haven't reported it, the mother wasn't living there. The small house was made into a boarding house. All kinds of people were living there. And they were illegally getting for 5 years all kinds of homestead exceptions because of the mother, including senior citizen, including widow, and every other kind. If he would have put his name into that title, and the truth would have come out, he wouldn't have been able to get those benefits because he himself owned and was getting homestead in another property in this city. Last but not least, that property, according to the county property appraiser's office, was appraised at that year, a small house, for $133,000 in change. The property appraiser's office normally appraises properties 15 to 20% below market value, which means that $133,000 should have included at least 15, maybe 20% more in the market rate. But this individual was paid 54% over that appraised value, $205,000, which certainly appears to me that it was market value. So I want to set the record straight on this particular transaction. I don't know anything about all the other stuff that they're trying to throw out now, but this is a coordinated attack that includes several people, including this individual that was here for the reasons that I've stated.
Thank you. Good morning. Sir, good morning.
My apologies, thank you. My name is Sherman Ratner. I am the president of 1809 Brickell Tenants Association. I am also the president of the Mosaico Tenants Association. You may recall a lot of times I was here concerning that property. Thanks to Mayor Suarez, Commissioner Russell, your predecessor, and all of you, 400 seniors who lived in affordable housing at 1809 Brickell, who would have found themselves out on the street without a voucher or a place to go. Instead, they were able to get replacement housing in Allapattah. It's not quite like Brickell, but it's at least a roof over their head, and they got a voucher that they wouldn't have had. I want to talk about Commissioner Reyes, PH10. You have a very important word in there called reverter provisions, meaning that if they don't do what they say, it's going to revert back to the city. Well, we have a problem of not just that we aren't building enough affordable housing, but we're losing affordable housing. And one of the proposals we offered to you and could have had depends on using that principle of reversion. I know there was some legal review on this issue, and I think it was inconclusive at the point, but back in July 26, 2018, at the hearing concerning some of these things, Commissioner Reyes said, I think the commissioner should start, he was referring to Commissioner Russell at the time, working on legislation to make sure that we are not losing affordable housing. Well, guess what? We are losing affordable housing almost faster than we're building it. And there's just about no affordable housing in your district, certainly not east of Brickell and Biscayne Avenue. So the city we have is the city you have created, we have created, and the opportunity to build the city of the future where all people can live here and afford to live here is in your hands.
Thank you.
I submit to you, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Janelle Baez. I'm the Vice President of Operations for OVM Global Network. We also partnership with Samaritan Purse, a Christian organization that helps people throughout the world. And I'm here to advocate for In God We Trust. When we think of God, it's basically the term of love or the essence of love. And of course, the opposite of that would be hate. Working with Samaritan Purse and seeing their efforts and their contributions throughout the world, they're able to help millions of people do better because they come from that source of love. Quantum mechanics and metaphysics is teaching us that because of sacred geometry and other things that they are discovering, there is a higher order and there is some kind of divine order. So it just takes some investigation, and we're just scratching the surface of it, but we do know that we have a spiritual aspect in this world. It's just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Great. Good morning. My name is Jessica Dolores. I live in Ponciana Village, and I am here in support of 4.7C. Our infrastructure is aging, and we could really use the
You're
lifeline.
actually here for the Southeast Park West Overtown CRA meeting. It's not the City of Miami Commission. That's coming at noon.
Okay. I'll come back.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Janie Jackson, and I'm from Liberty City, the city of Liberty City. And I'm here this morning to speak about In God We Trust. People, it's very important that we understand that we need that everywhere we go, everywhere. For example, if we have God we trust, and people really start believing like it is, maybe Vice Chairman Corolla wouldn't have had to go through what he went through with this person. I don't know. But
You're right.
it is very, 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 so much is going on. Every day we hear about kids killing their parents, parents killing their children, people being slaughtered here and there. It's a bunch of hate in this world. Until we bring that back in God we trust, it's going to get a lot worse. And if nobody on that panel or in this audience can agree, we all need to agree. It is very important that we put God first with everything we do. From the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep at night, we need to acknowledge Him. If we can continue to acknowledge Him, or we decide not to, it's going to get worse before it get better. And that's the problem that we've been having in our beautiful world. So much hatred. Everybody hating on everybody because they're not doing as God says. Put Him first with everything that we do and acknowledge Him, because our health and everything come from Him. Thank each and every one of you guys. And Mr. Corolla, I'm sorry what happened to your office. And I hope, well, it was yours? Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Red. I'm sorry what happened to your office. And
Nobody has messed with him. You know, I must be doing something right when people, they don't like what I'm doing.
But, yeah, sorry about what happened to your office. And people, let's agree and put God first so we can try to get our country back. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tomas Kennedy. I live in 2307 Southwest 10th Street. It is in the city of Miami. So first of all, I want to spare from my comments. Commissioner Covo, you just got here. You might not like me, but I think you're a good commissioner. You're my commissioner. Considering the issues that we have in the city, the lack of public transportation, the fourth world infrastructure, fourth world, yes, the lack of affordable housing, the out of control corruption, the headlines that are generated from this commission are an absolute embarrassment. You two are the main culprits. You should be ashamed of yourselves. That's all I wanted to say. Really, this is an embarrassment.
Good morning.
Yes, and in God we trust. Amen. And Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Corbin, all the people behind you, the reason you haven't been able to defeat me in anything, and in the last election, as much as you tried, I still got 65% of the vote, and you're not going to be able to defeat me. And it's not because I'm so great, so smart. It's because I trust in God. In God we trust. And it's that God that's been protecting me and is going to protect me so you can't defeat me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Rodriguez. I'm happy to be here with you guys because I know that I have been here around, and as a community leader and a person who have been working for the Puerto Rican community in South Florida, it's a pleasure to congratulate Sabina Cobo and to say good morning to the city manager, to Victoria Mendez, Sabina Covo again, Christine King, Joe Carollo, Manolo Reyes, and all of you guys that have been doing a great job to the Miami City. Thank you so much for all the help that you have been done during the entire period that you have been here. And today I'm coming just to share with you what motivated me this morning to wake up and come here to give from the inside of my heart, because God pushed me to walk through his line and come here as a minister of H2O Church in Brickell. Just to come here and says like, city of Miami have been like a cosmopolitan city, and we have been supporting all the commissioners when they really wanted to do something in our city. And I just have 2 minutes. So anyways, I'm just coming here just to bring my support on Manolo Reyes and the plaque and whatever the trust on God is, because God is Yahweh. Every single morning that you wake up and you breathe, your breath means Yahweh. And Yahweh is inside of our a DNA. So if we support so many things in our cosmopolitan city of Miami and a county of Miami-Dade, why not to support this? So thank you so much. My name is Elizabeth Rodriguez. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. I am Eladio Jose Armesto, chairman of the Florida Democratic League, the largest minority-led Democratic voters organization in our state, advocating for civil and human rights and working against intolerance and bigotry. Our organization was founded in 1992 at the urging of then Florida Governor Lawton Chiles. And the Florida Democratic League wishes to thank and to congratulate the City of Miami Commission for considering, at the urging of Commissioner Manolo Reyes, supporting the motto of our nation and our state, "In God we trust." Indeed, we are all much better because we trust in God. Miami needs to trust in God, and the Florida Democratic League reaffirms our state motto, congratulates the commission, and urges that this resolution be adopted because we too, in God we trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Alan McGuffey. I am a resident from Little Haiti. You're currently my commissioner. I've actually been trying to get in touch with you quite a few times, but unfortunately that hasn't been happening. I am a candidate for the Community Relation Board, and I'm basically trying to introduce myself, trying to get appointment into that board, as I believe you're the one I have to talk to, or the mayor, I believe.
Go see my chief of staff, Yvette Harrell. How were you trying to get in touch with me?
I actually spoke with some of the department over the phone. I've actually.
Oh, another department. Because you didn't email me, I answer all of my emails, right?
Not sure. I never got anything back. I've got response from other people.
Okay,
but
no worries. I'm here. Go speak to my chief of staff and let her know, and she'll set something up for me to speak with you.
Understood. I believe you should already have my everything as far as my resume and all my documents. I am a professor of social economic, also a PhD student, doctor of philosophy and ethical leadership, and I even have a master's in public administration. I've worked with a few of you guys here in the past, and also with the mayor. Therefore,
Go to my office and speak to my chief of staff.
okay.
Her name is Yvette Harrell.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're welcome, and I'll meet you in a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Anthony Verdugo, founder and executive director of the Christian Family Coalition Florida. We're a human rights and social justice advocacy organization, and we rise in support of RE9, In God We Trust. Thank you, Commissioner Manolo Reyes, for bringing this item forward. In God We Trust is not only our national motto, it's also our state motto here in Florida. And in fact, it has been a part of our history and our identity since 1864, when the motto was adopted on our currency. Federal courts have repeatedly reaffirmed the right of cities like the city of Miami to display In God We Trust. In fact, currently, over 700 cities across the United States post our motto, including, since 2015, Miami-Dade County. The Miami-Dade County Commission adopted this resolution and has had it posted along with the cities of Doral, Medley, and Miami Lakes. May I add that In God We Trust is actually a very inclusive statement because what it does is it tells the community and the culture and society that we embrace faith. That's what it's about. It's embracing faith. The Christian Family Coalition in 2018 had the honor of leading the effort in Tallahassee to make sure that our motto is posted in every single public school across our state. So again, we urge you to vote yes on RE9, In God We Trust. Thank you for your time and thank you for considering this item.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, finally. Thanks to the commissioners, this commission, and the city of Miami. I'm representing Cuban American Patriots and Friends. It's an organization of patriots. And representing UMAP, a concentration camp in Cuba, when more than 40,000 people, when I was 18, we sent to the concentration camps because we don't renounce to believe in God. And we do not accept the communists. We are here supporting our friend and Honorable Commissioner Manolo Reyes and his proposition, and supporting the Christian Family Coalition, my friend Tony Verdugo, because without the help of God, our Master and Father of the heavens, Miami, USA, our second homeland, will be and are now in extreme danger. We are here to ask all of you your support to protect our families, our homes, and our legacy for generations with good discipline, good values, and hard work. Today we're asking the Honorable Mayor, the Commissioners, to operate and lead this city with the help of God, because in God we trust. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, or almost good afternoon. My name is Armando Pomar. I am a director of the Alapata Community Action Inc., and I am one of the veterans here at the city. I was a former specialist from Miami Police Department for, I don't know, about 40 years. So what I am saying is this one. This motto, it should be, how you said, being put here in this room since many, many, many years ago, that we have been under stress. God has been protecting us during the Mariel boat leave, during all these perils that we went through at City of Miami. So I urge the commissioners, and most of them I have been working with them in the past, to vote yes and put In God We Trust right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, fellow commissioners. My name is Father Jonathan Archer. I am the rector of Christ Episcopal Church, located 3481 Hibiscus Street. I am here this morning to speak in support of PZ 13 and 14. In order to respect all of your time, I have some of my parishioners here. I'd ask them to stand, and Ms. Gibson is also here in support of this item as well. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate Commissioner Kovo. We are in your district, and we look forward to working along with you as you seek to build up our city. Christ Episcopal Church is trying to, as it has done for many, many years in its existence, to assist with the need for affordable housing in our community. And these two items, PZ 13 and 14, are a necessary part of us working to provide affordable housing for our community. We have heard many of the cries of the community, many of the concerns of the community in terms of not wanting commercial to be a part of the zoning increase in land usage. And at the PZAB meeting, we did agree to make some adjustments, and they have made another recommendation to take commercial out of it. And we also want to say here publicly that we have no plans of selling any of our property. We wish to do affordable housing, and so we urge you to vote in support of PZ 13 and PZ 14. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is David Sachs, law office at 2 South Biscayne Boulevard. I'm here to speak on PH5. While it seems like a garden variety transfer between the City of Miami and the Florida Department of Transportation, I want to talk more specifically and breathe some life into this as this, it seems like basic legislation is actually how it impacts our particular client.
What number are you speaking in again?
PH5.
Okay, thank you.
And again, my client, Petal Productions, Fresh Cut Flowers, resides at 1515 22nd Street. That is exactly between the subject legislation if you're looking at your package. Long story short, I want to give you the why, the what, and really the so what impact to the city, impact to our client. I'll be happy to come back later and speak on the item as well if you'd like, because I have a little bit more of a presentation. Would the board care to entertain that at all?
Sir?
Would the board care to listen to more of my testimony later so that we could finish the public hearing and I could wait? Because I think it's important that I breathe life into, again, a boring piece of legislation.
If you have any additional information, and hold on so he could have his minutes while I talk.
Thanks, Joe.
If you have any additional information, I would suggest that you provide it to us once you're done here so we could look at it.
It's more of I can do it now then. It's more of a little bit of an awakening and a realization that there is an issue at hand that could impact crime in an area where...
You have a minute, unless you have someone that would like to give you 2 additional minutes.
I would not, through the acting chair, I'd love a few more minutes, maybe 5.
That I can't do, sir. I'm sorry. We've set some pretty straight rules. This is something you should have had printed out so that we could have had it ahead of time and have been able to study it.
Well, I do have printouts. That'll take longer than my 2.
Then why don't you give them to us? If you only have one, the clerk, if you give it to him, he will make sure that we all get it. He'll make copies, get it to us. And you have about a minute left.
In my remaining 45 seconds...
you got more. You got at least 60.
Well, I'm trying to be respectful.
I interrupted you.
I'm trying to be respectful and keep your minute in time. Again, the handouts that I have correlate to my testimony so that it would, I guess, educate the commission. That's really why I'm here. That's really why my client's willing to wait. so that we could explain the negative externalities, unintended consequences, which aren't bad. They just need to be addressed with, especially my client, Fresh Cut Flowers, doing bar mitzvahs, doing weddings, doing birthday parties. They've been in business a long time. And they're coming out of COVID. And to be strapped potentially as an unintended consequences with a potential problem associated with this legislation, is certainly worth talking some more about.
Okay, well,
Mr. Sachs?
Yes.
Commissioner, Mr. Juvenal Santana, the Director of Public Works, can talk to him, and I think that can allay some of his concerns. This piece, turning over this piece to the state will actually be more helpful in any replatting process that your client may be going through in the future. So he'll talk to you right after this.
Okay, I just want to mention, and Juvenal's been great in the process. We had filed an application for the replat and the road closure back in 2017. And until this legislation was around, it wasn't so much of a problem with respect to crime. That's something that I don't know if Mr. Director Santana can speak to.
well, here's what I will be willing to do. If there's no objections from the district commissioner in this, when we bring it up to a vote, I'll be happy to defer it to the next meeting so that you have enough time to provide us anything you need for us to read, meet with anyone else in the administration that you need to meet in addition to whomever you met with already. And I don't think this is an item that is, if we defer for one meeting, it's going to hold anything up. But if the commissioner from District 1, that this falls under his district, sees different, I will respect the commissioner because that is his district. So.
Okay, and just to final, what the ask is here is simply to be able to, in light of the assumed passage of this legislation, to be able to file a new application, which we were not permitted to do before this transaction. And this second is, as a result, to be able to work with us in connection with the increasing crime in the area, which the code compliance officers on the ground are super well aware of. And I'll stop there. So an issue of application, but more importantly, crime.
Okay. Well, the crime is an issue that I could certainly understand, but I'm not so sure whether by closing this road or not is going to increase it or decrease it. But that's a valid issue.
They're non-functional residents.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
sir.
Yes, I think I agree with you. I was watching you on television. I think that we should defer this to the next commission meeting.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there, okay?
Okay, so it'll be a regular agenda item, and I can...
Yeah.
And you can meet with me in my office later on today during our lunch break. We can talk a little bit about it, but I think we should defer it at this point.
Okay, you have a motion. I second.
Chair.
We'll defer.
Chair, I think we may just want to wait until public comment is over, or is there any further public comment on PH5? You may just want to wait till the end of public comment and then...
Okay. Well, you can ask.
Yes.
Is there any further public comment on
Yes,
this
sir.
item?
Is there anyone else in the chambers that would like to speak on item PH5? Please approach the podium.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, hearing none.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Seeing
Yeah.
none?
Yes, so I move that we defer it.
Second.
And that's to March 23rd, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
PH5?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. James Torres, President of DNA. Glad to be back in the chambers on the other side, but we'll be getting on the other side soon. We want to talk about one thing that's important, everyone's been talking about, in God we trust. Well, if we can stand in these chambers and look at the flag and do the Pledge of Allegiance, it should be very easy that this board approves in God we trust as a thing that we're kind of looking for. I think it's important. That's the theme that it's been today, and there's no reason why we should not wait any longer to have that up on the wall today. Commissioner Koval, good luck to you. We'll see you on the district. Don't forget downtown, because it's important for what we need to do. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Clara Garcia. I am the architect, property owner of one of the property abutting Grand Avenue. First of all, I would like to say welcome to our district, Mrs. Sabina Cobo. It's going to be a pleasure to have you in this position because we are women and we need some good representation, and we are sure that you're going to do your work. Okay. It is another presentation in reference to the property that are abutting Grand Avenue. If you see the map, I'm going to ask permission to provide you this document that have been presented before, but I will let you have it.
Of course.
Okay, we are talking in reference to the PC 4, 5, and 6. This is a process that has been taking place in this commissioner for many years and a long time. We have been applying for this change since 3 years ago. And it is in reference to the properties that are facing Grand Avenue on the west side. There are many requests for zoning designation change in many points in the new mixed-use cultural district. Before, it was mixed-use corridor, which was Grand Avenue and Douglas. And now, the proposed PC4, 5, and 6 is to convert some new boundary for a new cultural mixed district, from corridor to district. Corridor normally has the main character of commercial, and that is why we would like to include and let you know what we can do in these main corridors. It is one example that we have built in Grand Avenue, the west side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners, and welcome, Commissioners Covo. Melissa Tapena's law office is at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. I'm here on behalf of Jelly Salmon JV CG LLC and 3442 Southwest 37th Avenue. They are the owners of Assemblage A in PZ items 4 and 5. They also own an additional a total of 12 properties within the Little Bahamas area on Grand Avenue and 37th Avenue. We're here in support of PZ 4, 5, and 6. We have been working with the stakeholders in the Little Bahamas neighborhood, and I'm excited to inform the Commission that we have reached a partnership with the Thelma Gibson Initiative to bring in public benefits to Assemblage A, and Mr. King and Ms. Gibson are here to speak on that. So with that, I would like, although I can provide a full presentation, I would respectfully request us moving forward at first reading, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
What are the public, Madam Chairwoman? Yes. What are the public benefits that you're providing?
We'll be including affordability within Assemblage A.
Dollar value.
We don't have a dollar value. Mr. King will speak more as to the number of units, et cetera.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on a second, because I let you speak.
No, I'm not speaking, it's a question.
It's a question, but I'd
Right.
like to not have questions during public
gonna
comment.
speak now after this,
Commissioner Covo.
So as you may know, I know the West Grove very well, and this is a project that I've been studying for some time. But this is my first City of Miami commission, and I am glad that there's a partnership with Mrs. Gibson, and I would love to listen to what she's gonna say. But I still need more time to make a decision. We've seen the community is divided, and this is a zoning change that is significant. I think that I need to study it a little bit more, but I do feel that I need to also listen to Mrs. Gibson.
Thank you.
Chairwoman? Commissioner Covo, you have every right to any item in your district to ask for a deferment until you have more time to be able to study it. So
Absolutely.
if you ask for this item or any item within your district to be deferred, I will gladly second it, and I'm sure that this commission will support you, because it's not fair that you just came and you haven't had the time to be able to go through and meet with all the different people on different items that you have. So that's,
And I agree with that. If you want to move a deferral, I will also second it and support
I
you.
would like, please, Madam Chair, to ask if there's anyone else who would want to comment on PC4, PC5, and PC6. And after I listen to them, then I can make that decision.
Thank
So
you.
we're almost through public comments. We have, you may go, because you are speaking on this item.
Good morning. Thank you. Joseph King, Thelma Gibson Health Initiative, 3640 Grand Avenue. Commissioner Covo, welcome, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the time, and thank you all for your attention to this. This is new information, obviously, for everybody, so, we've been able to meet with Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Reyes, and obviously with you just taking over, you're the most important, to be satisfied as it's in your commission. But I think Legal Services is spoken, and a few others have spoken on this, and to be quite honest with you, we understand the concern, but it's really admirable that the owners of the property listened to the community frustration and some of the pushback and partnered with us to enter into an agreement. Our goal is to do as much affordable housing as we can, as much public benefit as we can. We have funding through the U.S. Congress, through Frederica Wilson, for a Bahamian Cultural Center. So looking at the parcels on 3710 Grand and the parcels 3442, 3424 Southwest 37th, 3442, 3714, 3718 Washington, 3719 Thomas. Our goal is to do parking and as much affordable housing as we can and get as much community benefit as we can. So obviously there's meetings that need to happen, and we'd love to get the input from Legal Services and the groups that have done study.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
Okay. So you haven't given an answer. I just want to know, as I walk away from this meeting, what are your community benefits you're offering?
At least 16 units at the parcels I just named, and at 3710 Grand, our goal would be to move the Bahamian Cultural Center there so we can create some jobs.
So the Bahamian Cultural Center and 16 units out of a total of how many units?
16 units at the parcels, and what was the other question, I'm sorry?
Out of a total of how many units
A total of how many units?
in the whole development?
Well, it's,
I thought you were going to testify to what your community benefits were.
well,
Yeah.
it's 16,937 square feet on 3710 Grand.
Right, I
We
know.
believe we can do 28,000 square feet of a cultural center there, plus parking. And 18,681 square feet for the other sites. We can do at least 16 to 18 units there, plus parking.
How many total units?
That's it. 16 to 18.
How many total, in the whole complex, how many total units?
That's it. 100% of the units affordable, sorry.
100%?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, at another project similar to this with the funding, we've been able to do 50 and 80% AMI to make sure it's affordable.
What's the AMI?
Area median income.
I know what AMI is, but what's, you said 80%?
50 and 80% is the offering to make sure that it's cheap enough to make sure that we have our residents can stay.
50 to 80%?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Marcelo Fernandez, Grove Properties, and also a resident of the West Grove on Charles Avenue. I've twice been elected chair of Coconut Grove Village Council in the past, and about 5 years ago, I started working with Thelma Gibson Health Initiative. Been seeing the great work they've been doing over the years, and what they were lacking was a housing arm. So I've been donating my time as a consultant in the real estate field for these years, and in this particular case, to answer more of your questions, we're taking an application that was applied for commercial and parking and converting that to 100% affordable housing. And as you all know, in this city today or in the country, it's impossible to do affordable housing without any kind of assistance from either government or nonprofits, because the numbers just don't work. We've successfully been able to secure, I had bought some properties in the past, passed those properties on to the Thelma Gibson initiative to help them create this housing arm. And now with the funding they put together and thing, we're finally get to a point where it will be affordable, it will be sustainable, meaning the affordable income they can create because of the lack of funding they're using will be able to make this thing go for a long time. And we have funding also for construction ready in place. So this is to be 100% community benefit because there is no profit margins or nothing. It's 100% ownership by the Thelma Gibbs Initiative for nonprofit use and for affordable housing in the future. I'm gladly to sit with you and explain more, but it's really a win-win for everybody, and I think it'd be great for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Gibson.
Morning, everybody. Good morning. I always like to be last because I like to be able to take time to, first of all, want to congratulate our newest commissioner and welcome her to the dais. I am so happy on this Women's History Month to talk about women in powerful positions and leadership positions, and this is so important. And so I just wanted to congratulate you on behalf of our community. And I stand before you to talk about not only PZ 4 and 5, but especially 13 and 14, which is Christ Episcopal Church. You will notice it on your paperwork, you may still have T14, T4C, and it was changed by the zoning to T47 to be sure that it's residential. We want to do affordable housing there, primarily because the people on Grand Avenue and all the apartments have had to move out. And then most of them had to go all the way to Homestead or Florida City to find housing. And we want to be able to help change that. And this is why we like to have you approve. And I hope you could hear that before we leave for lunch break. Those items. I know it's asking a lot because it's 11:30 already, but if we could have 13 and 14, that would be really a wonderful thing for us to know that zoning passed it on the first of the month and changed it to the residential. So we didn't have any opposition to residential being built there. And so it's so important that we get your vote this morning. The 4 and 5, I know you have some questions asked about that, and we'll be able to answer those. We'd like to sit down and talk with you, Commissioner, about that, because it is important that you understand exactly what it is that we want. I'm always begging, and I'm not here to beg for anything this morning except to have the approval of these items.
Thank you.
Any questions, we'll be able to answer them. Any questions from any of our friends up there?
Mrs. Gibson, you look beautiful today. You keep looking younger, so I think we're going to have you for a long, long time. But I think the reason you wanted to be last because you read your Bible well, and you know that the last shall be first.
Well, I'll be back later to ask for some bond money, you know.
Madam Chair.
I want some of your bond money.
God bless you, Ms. Gibson.
Because everything we do is for this community. And I don't know, a lot of people will realize that it's down Little Bahamas. And Commissioner Kovo, we're supposed to be getting a sign put up on the corner of McDonald at Grand and on the corner of Douglas and Grand to show that we're now Little Bahamas of Coconut Grove. We're no longer West Grove. And a lot of people still don't understand that. And if we have the signs put up, they'll be able to understand that they're entering Little Bahamas. And I thank you for that in advance.
Commissioner Kovo, she was the first female commissioner from the new District 2 before you came along, so she's senior here.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can never thank you all enough for all you do for us, and we do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure
Thank you,
to
Maria.
see you. Good morning.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Alfred Santa Maria. I want to start off by congratulating Sabina Kovo for her new election. I also want to salute all the members of the commission, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, Commissioner Carollos, Madam Commissioner King. I want to commend and congratulate Commissioner Manolo Reyes on his proposal of putting the motto of "In God We Trust" in the chamber. I think it's a wonderful initiative. My generation, during these difficult times, after we have passed, or we're passing through a pandemic, I think going back to those foundations, principles, faith is important. And one of the beauties of this great country and this great nation is its values and its foundations. For that, I commend the commission for bringing forth the initiative to put "In God We Trust," as many other municipalities in our community and across the nation have decided to do. So congratulations on the good work you all are doing in this beautiful city of Miami. May God continue to bless you all.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Franz Zabech, and I represent the owners of the properties in Assembly A. And of course, I want to speak on supporting 4 and 5, PZ 4 and 5. I tell you, we also own other properties in the neighborhood. We own a property, it's a rooming house. If we maintain those levels of rent very low, so these gentlemen that live there could continue to live there in a decent and very nice neighborhood. We couldn't, as private developers, build affordable housing and make any money. So we partnered with Thelma Gibson, and we are very excited about that partnership. Many of the main partner has flown from Mexico to meet Mrs. Gibson, and they've made an agreement that I think that benefits this community 100%. It's a 100% affordable housing initiative, and we can do that with them because there's a lot of public funds. I want to thank you guys for your time, and congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Brenda Barranco, 1436 Southwest 6th Street. Congratulations, Commissioner. It's a long way and hard work, but you deserve to be there for the hard work that you did in your election. So congratulations. I'm supporting the RE9, In God We Trust. At the same time, I want to just request to 5 commissioners, the mayor, and the city attorney to please keep an eye on the co-enforcement changes that we are adapting for the entire city. As a co-enforcement board member, I can tell you it is a challenge for us when we sit in that dais that you guys sitting. It's not that simple. When we have residents on this side asking for help, assistance, and our goal as a co-board is only follow the regulations that you as a commissioner create. And sometimes it is really hard to see residents, they are owners in this side requesting for certain stuff that is not easy for them to understand. I understand that the 4th floor is a place for every single resident who owns a house and live in the house to be an assistant, but please, you, the 5 commissioners that we elected to be representing us, need to help us getting all those general contractors or people who rob homeowners of thousands of dollars, and nobody has been able to figure out how to get them to pay back those money. We have seniors that they need help, and sometimes people just take advantage of them. The 5 of you has always worked for the community. I hope that this time you guys is still trying to work in order for us to support what the City Commission is actually all about. Support the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Edward Martos' office is at 2800 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. I'm here on behalf of Casa Valentina. And as you take up the Coconut Grove items for affordable housing, I ask that you please approve and don't lose sight of PZ 11 and 12. That is Casa Valentina, I'll remind you, is for children who have aged out of foster care and they receive affordable housing at the lowest AMIs you can, that there are. It's a true charity organization, and we hope you'll support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Miguel Soliman. I reside at 1436 Southwest 6th Street. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for allowing us to speak this morning. I'm here to speak about In God We Trust, and I support that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. Our society, the foundation of our society is based on our beliefs, on our standards, on our God. And those are the building blocks that our society rests on, that foundation. Without it, we are lost. I'd like for you to please consider adopting In God We Trust for our great city. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on behalf of any items on our agenda today? Is there anyone else here who would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is closed. I'd like to address two requests. Commissioner Reyes asked if we could take up RE9 for the persons that are here waiting to see what happens with that resolution. And Ms. Thelma Gibson has asked if we can take up PZ 12 and 13. And I'm taking the temperature of my colleagues.
Yes, yes.
We will definitely take up RE9. Commissioner Kovo, would you like to take up PZ 13 and 14?
It's actually 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Oh,
Because of the way that they've
no,
assembled.
Ms. Gibson only asked for 13 and 14, but if you want.
Yeah, 13 and 14. It's perfect, yes.
Just 13 and 14. Okay, so do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in
Chair,
fa-
Chair. So we're including PZ 13 and 14 in this motion?
Yes,
13 and 14 need to have first
I
reading
know.
ordinance?
I know, it has to be read into the record first. I'm just getting a motion to do them. Okay,
Both, we're gonna, for to clarify, it's gonna be RE9.
right, and
13.
then we're going to do PZ 13 and 14.
Okay, well, we can do it together if you want.
But we have to read it into the,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
okay, so
I stand
PZ
corrected.
13 and 14 has to be read into the record.
RE9 has been moved and seconded.
Second, all in favor?
Chair?
Aye.
So RE9 needs to be amended, so as amended.
RE9 as
Yes,
amended.
it's amendment, and it's a minor amendment, the color.
Okay,
Okay,
so
it's gonna be-
all in favor for RE9 as amended?
I'm
Aye.
under,
Aye.
right, I'm under the impression that RE9 is, okay, all right, never mind. Thank you. It's fine. It wasn't amended further.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And
Thank you, guys.
Madam City Attorney, can you read PZ 13 and 14 into the record so that we can vote on them?
Yes, Madam Chair. PZ 13, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544 as amended. The future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to section 163-3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from single-family residential to medium-density restricted commercial for the property generally located at 3475, 3479, and 3481 Hibiscus Street, 3475, 3447, 3435, and 3401 William Avenue, and from single-family residential, medium-density restricted commercial to medium-density restricted commercial for the property generally located at 3452, 3440, 3430, and 3460 Thomas Avenue, and 3456 Elizabeth Street, Miami, Florida, collectively the property, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ 14, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from T3R Suburban Transit Zone Restricted to T4O General Urban Transit Zone Open with a Village West Island District, Charles Avenue, NCD 2 overlay for the properties generally located at 3475, 3479, and 3481 Hibiscus Street, 3475, 3447, 3435, and 3401 William Avenue, 3452, 3440, 3430, and 3460 Thomas Avenue, and 3454 and 3456 Elizabeth Street, and a change in zoning classification from T3R General Urban Transit Zone Restricted and T50 Urban Center Transit Zone Open to T40 General Urban Transit Zone Open with a Village West Island District and Charles Avenue NCD 2 overlay for the property generally located at 3449 Hibiscus Street, Miami, Florida, collectively the property as more particularly described in Composite Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Yes.
Can we declare whomever we met with, since this is a PC item?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, I met with Mrs. Gibson and Mr. King on this item. And Commissioner, are you ready to go forward with it?
I'm ready to go forward with it.
Okay, so. It's a
We have a
motion.
motion, okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
PZ 13 and 14 passes. At this time, I'd like to take up the pocket items now.
Yes, ma'am, and I move it.
Which bucket items?
Which one, madam?
Well, pocket item 1 is a mitigation, so I believe we have to have something on the record.
Yes. And are there any Jennings disclosures
There
for
is
this
a,
item?
I need to make a Jennings disclosure.
Hold on. Why don't we leave that one for last, since that came at the tail end, and let's handle the other ones?
The first 2 pocket items?
Yeah, whatever we have.
2 and 3.
Well, this is going to go quickly. So it's going to go quickly, and it's the same thing. It's going to go quickly.
Yeah, but I want to ask some questions on this.
Okay,
Because
but-
there's money involved.
Yeah, well, let's get it done.
So I'll move pocket item 2. We'll do, to take up, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So are we on pocket item 1, or are we moving on to pocket
No,
item?
let's just do it in
Well,
order. It's
obviously,
just-
I said, I moved pocket item 2 because Commissioner Carollo has questions on pocket item 1.
But let's just do it all in order. Let's just
Well,
get
he has
into it.
questions on pocket
Well,
item 1.
we're going to
So,
ask the questions.
Okay,
let's-
fine. So I move all the items, all the pocket items.
All the pocket items.
Yeah,
Attorney?
But,
He made it clear that he wants to have questions on it,
But we can
Commissioner.
ask questions.
yeah, but which are the pocket items we have?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
There's been so much back and forth,
Yeah.
and 1 and 2.
We're starting with
Yeah,
1.
I don't know what pocket items I'm voting on.
We're
Exactly.
doing the mitigation one. They're
Could
going to
you-
explain
could you
it now.
please-
Come on.
Could you please read the pocket items, so it's clear?
So,
Victoria, can you read the pocket item?
Pocket item 1, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Carollo, since it said D5 pocket on the top, that's why you thought there were 5 items. So
Yeah.
I apologize, we,
It's only 3.
so first, pocket item 1. This one has to do with a mitigation. The attorney, Ms. Bertrand, is here to speak about it and make an offer with regard to this mitigation. Right now, it's about $117,000 that they are trying to mitigate before they have a closing. So, Ms.
Okay.
Bertrand.
That's fine, but the reason that I placed an ordinance last year so that we wouldn't have the situations that we have been having for decades at the Code Enforcement Board, that across the board, for anybody that came in, they basically paid nothing or very little when they mitigated. We have examples of $1.5 million, $2 million that they paid either nothing or almost nothing. So And this is for everyone that came in across the board. It's not that it was for this guy or that guy, it was across the board. So I made an ordinance, requested an ordinance that the commission approved last year. And what I want to make sure that we're
Yes,
following-
we are still, this is in litigation. So because it's in litigation is the only way that it could come before the commission.
Okay.
It's consistent with your
Okay,
ordinance.
what is, first of all, are the people that are here the owners of the property?
Yeah, Rachel Dooley, Assistant City Attorney. Counsel for the current property owner is present. She can introduce herself. Her client may be with her, I'm not sure.
Okay, so the people that got these liens are the original owners.
So the owner now is not the original violator. They bought the property with the violation outstanding and then brought it into compliance. It
Okay,
was a
what-
CU and BTR.
Okay, what year was that they bought the property?
They-
Go ahead. April 22, so last year.
April 22. Okay. And they bought it knowing that it had liens.
Yes.
It's obvious.
Yes, it has a
Otherwise,
recorded lien.
Yeah, they would not have been able to close if they didn't know that. Okay, now, what were the liens that were placed on the property for?
It is a small apartment building. It did not have a certificate of use or a required BTR. And so it went to hearing and was found in, and I think there's a typo where it says October 10th, 2013. It should be 2021.
But what were the reasons, Rachel, they didn't have the CU and BTRs? When
They
you-
had not applied for it and paid for it, which is really all that they had to do.
It's only that? It's
Yes.
not that they had all kinds of violations that they were letting go and,
No.
okay? Okay, but, okay, so that's a big difference. If it was just that they didn't know they needed a CU and a BTR, I could understand that.
Yes.
My questioning and my concern is if it was because, like I've seen properties, that they had all kinds of violations, unsafe structures, what have you, and that's why they couldn't get a CU or a BTR. That's the difference.
I don't
And what
recall
you have
that
to-
as being part of this, and I can double check, but as far as I'm aware, I think there had only been 2 violations ever on this property, and one was a long time ago, and then there was this one for the certificate of use and BTR, and I can double check if you like, but that's my immediate recollection. And it was just simply processing the paperwork that hadn't been done.
I'd like to be sure of that because I want to establish a record of what we're doing since it's been only recently, less than a year, I think, that we've been doing this, so that we have a record of why we do things here. It's just not that we're throwing something and we approved and there's no method on why we're doing it.
Madam Chair, let me add something here that I have seen.
If I can, I just can confirm there wasn't some sort of building violation or anything like that out there that was preventing them. I know what you're talking about. They had to fix a building deficiency in order to be able to get their CU and BTR, because if they have an outstanding violation, they can't obtain that. That was not the case here. The prior owner just didn't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to establish. That, to me, it's a big difference.
Okay.
Now, how many units are in this building?
It's 3 units.
My name is
Okay.
Vanessa Bertrand on behalf of the property owner. There's 3 units.
Okay, 3 units. Now, the amount that they're proffering is how much again?
$10,000.
Yes.
And what is the amount that is on the lien?
It's $116,750.
Okay. When you say that this is in litigation, what's in litigation here?
So they filed what would be more a declaratory action and quiet title. Because of this lien being outstanding, they're not able to clear the title without either full payment or having a determination as to the status of the city code or to quiet title it. So they file the litigation, which then
if you do grant mitigation here, that will settle the lawsuit.
Okay, but at the same time, as I understand it's been acknowledged here, right, Counselor? He bought the property last year knowing that there were these liens on the property. It's not like if he didn't know and he just happened to find them. He knew that. So what we've been doing here in the few cases that we've had, and while this is still residential, it's a little different. The ones we've been dealing with have been single-family homes. I think this is the first one maybe that is apartments, but it's a small one, only 3. It's like triplet. I have to go with the minimum amount that we've been requiring, which is 10%, which will bring this to, I think, $11,750.
And how much are they offering?
10,000.
It would be 11,675.
75. Madam Chair, if I may add, I am very concerned about the decision that we made because there are people that they are residents and investors that they purchase properties that they have liens, but I don't want us to interfere on those properties to the lien, the cost of the lien to be cured, and then allow them to come to the city commission, and since they cure the problems or the cost of the liens, I think that should be taken into consideration also, because I don't want to keep on demolishing houses and all of that. I think that we have to revise this and review it in a way that we provide assistance to those people that are willing to work and cure the liens that it is. You see, I'm concerned because I have seen many of that. For example, there was a person that he owned a little restaurant, and he rented a little restaurant, and the guy that he rented to had a violation, which was a little sign. It was a sign, and you make a point when you said that there should be a difference between major violations and violation of this kind. That sign, he got he was cited for it, and years went by, and he when he took the restaurant back, he had a $600,000 lien on the property. And I think that we have to take into consideration, you see, circumstances that are important, and we have to be able to help those people that are in those circumstances.
I agree.
Yeah, that is something that we as a body, I think, always have strived to do, and we need to do more. The only area that we have to be sure of is, and I think we've been making legislation on that, is the repeat violators.
Repeat violators.
That's the only other question that I have. Is this man that bought this property last year and is coming before us now, does he have more properties that he has the same problem with? In other words, a repeat violator, whether buying it or causing it.
Not that I am aware of, no.
Okay, and you have a method in place so that all these properties that have problems, you're checking them out, because sometimes, as you know, they might not have them in their own names. They got all kinds of companies. Each property's got a different corporation, but they're the same people that are doing it.
The method we do is, it's probably a little on the more arcane side, which is you can check the corporation name in Sunbiz, you see who the owners are, then you're going to have to cross-reference that to the Miami-Dade County property appraiser. If properties have already been sold and moved, you may miss it, but in this particular instance, my initial search didn't show anything.
All right. Well, I will make a motion, if they want to accept, that it's 10%. which would be the 11,000, I think, 675. That's where I stand.
I second.
That's right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's for consistency.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been asking everybody, it's 10%, and we should remain consistent.
Yeah, but we're asking 10% in cases like these.
Like this was
Like the
different.
ones we've
Yeah.
When
had.
it's a bad actor, it's a
That
different
doesn't mean
story.
that every case will get to 10%.
No. It's clear the back actors,
Yeah.
they are going to be punished.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I have a comment on PC 4, 5, and 6 at some point before we break for lunch?
On what?
On PC 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Also
BC.
because there's a lot of people waiting on that one, so.
Okay, let's finish our pocket items, pocket item 2 and 3.
Pocket item,
Pocket item 2, I think has to be read.
I did earlier, right? So
You
we're
did?
good?
Okay, we're good.
What
Pocket
about
item
3?
2 is a temporary banner for Formula One.
Right,
That's my item.
I got it.
You got it?
I move it.
So I move it, or I second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pocket item 2 passes. Pocket item 3?
Could you read it, please?
For pocket item 3, this is the temporary event at 20,
Commissioner District 5, I move it.
I'm sorry.
I think she already read it. Pocket item 3.
It's for a temporary event permit.
It's a temporary event
yes,
permit
at
for.
2516 Northwest Second.
I second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You want to hear?
PC4?
So I want to, Madam Chair, I want to respectfully ask to defer PC 4, 5, and 6 until April 27.
I move that we defer 4, 5, and 6 to April 27th.
Well, these are your appointments, is what
Yes.
you're saying to defer.
Right, you don't have to defer.
You don't have to ask
have
for
to do
deferment.
that.
You could
just
just wait until
Whenever you
then.
want.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly, because I need time to study it and it's
Absolutely.
sensitive.
Yeah.
right.
I do
So you
understand
don't
that.
have
So
to.
you defer it.
So let's see if.
Chair,
Yes.
my apologies.
No,
Were you
no.
saying PZ?
She's saying
Papa
PZ
Zulu?
4, 5, and 6, not BC.
PZ.
Are you saying PZ?
Right,
Yes.
the-
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
you want to
planning and
confirm?
Second.
Okay,
Right,
Yes,
so I move to
that's
defer.
the overlay.
I move to
Okay.
defer PC 4, 5, and 6. Commissioner Carrera has seconded the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. PZ 4, 5, and 6 has been deferred. Do we have any controversy for the CA items? Maybe I can get rid of those before we
I
break.
move that all CA items,
Second.
Second.
And Chair, for CA5, it's
as
my-
amended, CA 5 is amended.
No amendment, just the Public Works Department will be submitting 3 right-of-way deeds as backup documents.
Okay, accepting their submittals
Okay.
for
Okay.
CA 5. I move all CA items.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
CA items are passed.
Okay.
Okay, and at this time,
Can we have lunch? I have ribs. And I know you love ribs. I know Commissioner Carrera loves ribs.
At this time, we're going to break, and
No,
we're
I'm
going
not
to.
supposed to have ribs or all
I
that
know, I
kind
know,
of
I
stuff
know.
anymore.
We're going to-
I know.
we're
Your
going
wife
to-
is out, but they're delicious. They're Flanagan, so you
You're
know.
gonna
you
get me
gotta-
in trouble if my
The City
wife
of
is
Miami
listening.
Commission meeting is now in recess for lunch, and we are going to have the Southeast Park West Overtown CRA meeting. So if you please stay for 2
Oh,
minutes.
but we're hungry.
Please stay for 2 minutes
All
so we
right,
can
let's
have
go.
the CRA meeting.
Okay,
Thank you. Todd, change the tape.
only for you. Change the tape. Come on, Todd. Come on, Todd. Come on, bota mais botar, bota um bete. Ai, Commissioner. Always great to see you.
Tape has been flipped. At this time, we are going to start the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning. Excuse me.
Well, have you recognized them already, or?
Is it what?
The chairwoman has to recognize you first.
Madam Chairwoman, would you recognize me, please?
Mr. Executive Director, would you please begin your meeting?
Yes. I wanted to welcome our new commissioner, but I hope she's not leaving.
No, she's not leaving.
Thank you. I'm gonna run to the restroom.
Okay,
And
all
I'll
right.
be back in 2 minutes, but
All
thanks
right.
so much.
Mr. Executive Director,
Commissioner.
I'm very disappointed.
No,
with you.
Commissioner, let me say this.
I'm very disappointed. Because I hear the rips are not your rips.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
listen, let me tell you, while we wait for the commissioner to come
First
back.
of all, no stuttering allowed.
Promises,
Okay, there's
promises.
no stuttering allowed here, number one, okay? The ribs are my ribs, okay? Next time, it's on you, okay? Mr.
Thank you very
Executive
much.
Director.
Thank you very much. But I will make sure that by the time we have the next board meeting, that I will do them.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir, if I might say, you promise a lot.
Yes,
But,
yes.
I mean, you don't deliver.
I don't deliver very well.
Like any COA director, executive director, they do it all the time.
That's right. Every time you come here, you promise. Next time, you say.
I got you. Don't worry, I got you, Commissioner.
You should be a commissioner, man.
It should be. It should be.
We have, well, initially we had 8 items on, but we're going to be deferring 2 of them. I'll let Attorney Brown read the ones that will be presented into the record. Yep.
We ready? Okay, good morning. Item number 1 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Southeast Overtown Park West Redevelopment Agency authorizing allocation of grant funds in the amount not to exceed $250,000 in support of Camilla's House. Item number 2 is a resolution of the Board of Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency seeking retroactively ratify and approve an expenditure of funds in the amount not to exceed $98,940.50 to the Community Work Training Program. Item number 3 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Redevelopment Agency seeking to retroactively ratify and approve an expenditure in the amount not to exceed $75,578.86 to the 13th Annual Overtown Holiday Tree Lighting Ceremony, which was held on December 1st, 2021. Item number 4 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA authorizing the allocation of grant funds in the amount not to exceed $287,000 to support New Washington Heights Community Redevelopment Agency, also known as Folk Life Fridays. Item number 5 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Southeast Overtown Park West, CRA, authorizing the allocation of grant funds in the amount not to exceed $292,060 to Transition Inc., a Florida not-for-profit corporation, to assist with adult employment and training. Item number
6.
7.
No, we're going to continue items 6 and 7, but I'm going to read the ones we're going to take action on today. And then item number 8 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Southeast Overtown Park West authorizing the allocation of funds to Le Chien Gourmet LLC in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for miscellaneous build-out and improvements and repairs. Items number 6 and 7 will be continued to the April 23rd meeting, is it?
So I move that we.
April 27th meeting.
Continue.
I move items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I second. Well, later on, we have to move, I mean,
But
we
to
have to
defer
vote
the
on
other
the
2,
deferral.
6, and 7, yeah.
That's
So
right.
All in favor?
Chair,
Aye.
Mayor,
We have
I
to
do
have
not believe
public
you've opened up your
comment,
public
sorry.
comment period yet.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
We got to open up the floor for public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on the items that were just before you? Seeing none, public comment period is up. Ms. Jackie Bell, would you like to say something?
My name is Jackie Bell, 1600 Northwest 3rd Avenue. I thank you for considering Folk Life Friday. But I would like to personally thank Vice Chair Joe Corolla. We are the longest two who have been coming here. This is my 50th year at this commission from this organization.
You're so young.
Oh, I'm old now, okay? When I first started coming here, I was like maybe 30. Now I'm way beyond being old, okay?
Was he referring that to me when he said so young?
Yeah, to you, of course.
But I'd like to say that even when you were at the state, you always was good to us too. And to Manola, you have always been there for me too.
Absolutely.
For my community.
Since I first got here in '77.
Yeah.
I
And
remember.
I just want, and to the chairman, I thank you so much for being the little girl in the neighborhood and now the grown woman who is a commissioner. And I just wanted to say thank you, thank all of you, and thank you, Joe. You catch hell, and I do too, but we still stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie, for all you have done throughout the years.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a pocket
You have a
item.
pocket item?
No, wait a minute. We have
Can I
to
move,
finish.
can I move to
Oh, we
defer,
have
can I move first to defer items 6 and 7?
I second.
All in favor to defer 6 and 7?
Aye.
Aye.
Now you can close the.
Okay.
Pocket item.
For correction, Madam Chair, 6 and 7 are going to be,
So April 23rd.
right, to the April 23rd meeting.
Yes, correct. Defer till April 23rd.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, we recently had a police officer that died, Joel Paris. While he did not die of the normal causes that you see on duty, there's no doubt that the heart attack he had is part of what police officers, firefighters, and others first-line personnel suffer that contribute to it. Officer Paris left 2 children, a wife, and I understand the mortgage on the home is hefty. It's $400,000 or so, that he contributed a lot to it. I would like to proffer a pocket item that from the Southeast Park Overtime Board, we contribute $10,000 to a fund to try to pay that mortgage. That Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, the same motion will be proffered before the Omni CRA. That Commissioner Reyes, the same will be done through the DDA. I will do the same through the Bayfront Park Trust. Whatever board you end up in.
I don't have one yet, but
You will.
Thanks.
That you try to do the same, and that each one of us, through our different funds that we have in the office, contribute $10,000, including the mayor, so that we could help this family have it a little easier.
Great.
So a total of 60, I will guess, right? 10
Well,
each?
if
Plus
we
10.
go through all 6 of the electeds, it's
Right.
60,000.
60,000.
These 4 boards that I mentioned, it's another 40,000.
100.
It's 100. Then we have the Coconut Grove bid. We have the Midtown bid,
Correct.
and that could be 120 if those dollars are there. Those are a little more iffy because
They have limited money.
but I don't know if I'm missing anything else that you all might remind us, but I think we have an obligation to try to
sure
help
do.
this family.
Ma'am,
Sure that I move it.
of course, it's good for me, but I do need to see my CRA situation and address it at some point, because from what I understood, I'm defunded on that one. So that's my only worry, but I believe that this family needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
With that
Yes.
mortgage and this family without the father,
But each of us can go.
Well,
on,
for now, I could do more from the Omni CRA, so I could double that. I could do 20K.
That's good.
And that way we make up for whatever
We
she
can
denied.
do the same from
Yeah.
the
Minimum
Bayfront
10.
Park Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, but minimum 10 is what I'm saying.
Minimum 10. And maximum, but I could do 20, because I think we have the resources for that, so.
Do we have the
minimum of 10.
resources here for another 10,
Yes.
Chairwoman?
Yes.
Not sure.
Okay, I'll move it.
Hold on, do we have the resources here for another 10?
Yes.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so my
you
motion
got-
would be made to.
For 20,
20
Yeah.
from the Overtown CRA.
and 20 from the Omni CRA, and 20 from the
Yeah,
Downtown
but
Development
those
Authority.
have to be dealt differently than this meeting.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's separate, but the commitment, the
So-
public commitment is there.
Okay, do we have to vote on it? So each CRA or each individual board or
Of
body
course.
would have to meet and do the
That's right.
allocation.
So
So
the-
today's motion would be for
For
the
the
allocation of the
20,000
CRA.
20,000.
from the Overtown CRA, the
Right.
20K from the
To
Overtown
establish a
CRA.
fund in the name of Officer Perez.
Right, and 20,000 donated from the from the Overtown CRA.
Correct, the
this
$20,000
meeting,
allocation.
yes.
So
Correct.
I think the motion should be that each of the boards will take this up
Well, but
before their.
remember,
We'll
we're
take it- you
still-
have to take
we're-
it before the
we're-
board. No, but you can't do that with your board.
The
You-
CRA
you
cannot
only have
make
the
another board
Overtown
do
CRA,
anything.
so
We'll
you
do that.
you have to pony up first.
Okay, but what Madam Chair is saying, that we all represent boards.
Right, so you have
And
to
every
go-
single board have members that
Right,
they
you have to go-
have to go
Yeah.
Correct.
and vote, that we would present
Yeah.
to our board.
Right.
I mean.
Of course, of course,
See,
but-
because
but-
if you go to, your board and, in your, in your CRA.
Right.
And, in Bayfront, Park Board, you have to bring it because this is the way
But
it works.
procedurally, since this is a CRA meeting of the Overtown CRA, the only thing we can vote on now, right, tell me if I'm incorrect, is the
Correct.
$20,000 allocation from the Overtown Park West CRA.
That's right.
That's
For
what we're
this
voting for.
purpose.
And we have a public commitment for every other board
Right.
to do what we already committed to
Absolutely.
doing.
We commit to bring it to the
Okay,
board.
So, and I'm looking at my general counsel who is
Yes.
shaking because there has been some legislation changes with our CRAs and what we are allowed and not allowed to do. Can we do this? Because I would like to.
Specifically as to Chapter 163, the amendment in 2020, there were certain limitations that CRAs were given as to how they could spend the money. You all can pass a resolution directing CRA to allocate the $20,000 towards this purpose, provided that it's consistent with the mandates in Chapter 163.
And what are those mandates?
They define them down to those things that eliminate slum and blight within the CRA district. And so it has to be within the CRA district that the money is being allocated to.
And this house is not within that CRA district.
I don't know where he lives, sir.
No, it's not.
that?
It's not.
Where is
So what I'll do is
API.
I'll identify money because he was my Wynwood Neighborhood Resource Officer.
Right.
And I will find the money, though I don't think we can do it through.
We can do it through your CRA,
can't
but
do
you-
mine,
you'll
but
fight it from
I'll
your
find the
office,
money.
and I'll commit to the same thing, and
I'll
I think
find the
everybody,
money.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Because, and I didn't know we were taking this up because
Well,
my
I know.
staff from the Wynwood District Office came here in support of the street code designation,
Okay.
and I'm completely in support of
I know that.
assisting.
I know that.
So
Me
although
too,
we
and I
can't-
would also.
And I'll
look
make the
at that.
commitment to do the same thing.
And if there's a way that we can do it through the CRA, let them study it a bit. If there's a way, we'll come back and we'll absolutely do it.
What I would suggest, Madam Chair, is that you go ahead and approve a resolution subject to the CRA.
Review
ju-
163.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So I'll move that.
Yeah.
now let me open it up for public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on the item before us now? Seeing none, public comment period is closed.
Been
All in,
moved.
all in
Second.
favor?
Second, all right.
Yes, moved by Commissioner Delabartia, second by Commissioner Croyle.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The the Overtown CRA meeting is now concluded. We will return, what time is it? 12:30, 2:30. We'll return 2:30.